Hey guys, Benji here again. We have the official 6.0 patch notes dropped, and with that we have the official 6.0 job changes as well. They updated their job guides, and so today I just kind of wanted to, before the servers come back up and go live, I wanted to take a look at Bard, since that's my main, that's what I'll be playing for raiding and that type of thing. And there's some interesting changes in here, and different from what we expected from the media tour, from what we saw there. And yeah, I thought it'd be kind of cool just to go through this and give my thoughts and ideas about what I'm seeing. And of course, once I actually get my hands on it and get to play with it, I'm sure some of my ideas and thoughts will change about it. But yeah, just see what we can see at the moment based on what it looks like. I thought it'd be kind of fun to do. So we'll just start from the very top of this, and we'll go down the list, go through all the abilities, see the changes, and I'll just kind of speak and give what I think about it. So overall, and I have skimmed through this already, it seems that there's been essentially slashing potencies across the board for all the abilities, so that's a common theme here. So starting with heavy shot, we see that potency change from 180 to 160, and we have this duration change from 10 seconds to 30 seconds. That's for straight shot ready, I believe, and so just gives you more time to utilize straight shot and or Reforge shot essentially. And yeah, we just see a baseline potency decrease on heavy shot. Of course, 80 and beyond, we're using burst shot, or whenever you get burst shot. But yeah, so straight shot, no change to that. And so the first really big one here is raging strikes, and this one kind of threw me for a loop. Of course, effectively they've gone with the iteration of it that I thought they would. So I did a video a while back when the job trailer dropped about the Bard changes, and in that I said, I thought that they would just put rating strikes on the 2-minute cycle on the 120-second cooldown, and maybe at most increase the duration a little bit or something. So it seems what they've actually done is they've increased the potency by 5%, and they have indeed put it on the 2-minute cycle. So 1 use per 2-minute cycle. In that video, though, I speculated as I thought that giving us 2 uses would be a little bit too strong in certain scenarios, and of course that was at the time I was thinking about potencies and the build of Bard within its current iteration, not so much how it could potentially change. But even definitely at that time, considering the current factors of how the class played, I thought 2 uses was still, it just seemed a little bit too good. And but then media tour stuff came around, and it looked like raging strikes was getting 2 uses, that it was on a 60-second cooldown. So I was like, well, rip me. But it seems with the official notes here that yes, will be on the 2-minute cooldown, and slightly higher potency there. And yeah, so overall, whether we got 2 uses or 1, it's whatever. They very well could have made this a 2-use ability per 2-minute cycle. They would just lowered the potency down and maybe modified the duration. But I think this is the easier way to do it for them from a design perspective, especially with some of the changes that are going on to Bard regarding our buffs and how those affect us now. So yeah, raging strikes, just good old reliable, essentially, just straight damage buff, and once every 2 minutes, so pretty normal. So we'll start here with Venomous Bites, which is our low level dots, but this is essentially a theme across all the dots. Of course, dots have been extended up to the 45-second mark, and the potency on Venomous here, you can see it changed from 30 to 15. So pretty much for all the dots, the potencies have been halved. And there's a couple of reasons why I believe that's to be the case. Again, I think it plays into party buff stuff as well. But yeah, so essentially, you know, TLDR, potencies on dots have been halved across the board. Next we have the Bloodletter, and interesting difference from the Media Tour was the maximum charges on this show 3. And I was under the, I had the understanding that it was just going to be 2 max charges from everything I saw. So yeah, we're getting 3 charges on Bloodletter, Rain of Death, potency decrease from 150 to 110, and yeah, so 3 charges is, oh god, we're gonna melt stuff in dungeons. It's gonna be good. Yeah, I mean, there's a change to Mage's Ballad where, you know, if they didn't make that change, we would really melt shit, but, you know, having 3 charges makes sense to why they made the change we'll look at for Mage's Ballad here in a second. So Quick Knock, this is actually a pretty legitimate change. Potency decrease, of course, but the 30% chance to 30% the recast timer of Bloodletter or Rain of Death will be reset has been changed to 35% chance of becoming Shadowbite ready. So Quick Knock no longer interacts with Bloodletter Rain of Death reset. That is all on Mage's Ballad now. So you can't just spam Quick Knock and hope to reset Rain of Death off that in concurrency with the Mage's Ballad. But this also gives us an interesting interaction with Shadowbite now, because, you know, I'll just scroll down to Shadowbite, and we can see it here that it now delivers an attack with a potency of 170. It has a barrage potency now of 270, so that gives us barrage utility for AoE, you know, for dungeon pulls, and I think that's an interesting change. You're kind of modifying, giving barrage, you know, more consideration to, you know, actually, because, you know, just during normal dungeon packs, you know, AoE pulls, we don't ever touch Refulgent during that stuff. We're just Rain of Deathing and Quick Knotting. So I think that's a cool change. You know, nothing huge, but, you know, an interesting, you know, additional gameplay mechanic. So, and yeah, so Shadowbite can only be used when you have Shadowbite ready now. So that interacts with Quick Knock to provide that Shadowbite ready. And of course, Quick Knock will be upgraded at 82 to London's Bite, if that's how you pronounce it, I don't know. Delivers an attack with potency of 130 to all, and again, gives you that 35% chance of becoming Shadowbite ready. So this will replace Quick Knock, but it's essentially the exact same thing with a little bit higher potency there. So from Quick Knock, we have Wind Bite here, same thing, potency halved, typical. And now we're getting to Mage's Ballad, and this is a pretty legitimate change to how Mage's Ballad functions. There are 2 factors in this. So the first big one is, we can see here it says changed additional effect conditions from 40% chance to grant repertoire when damage over time is dealt by Caustic Bite or Storm Bite to 80% chance to grant repertoire. So at first glance, that seems kind of odd, but there's some, you know, I reread it a few times. I was like, oh, wait a second, that's what this means. So, you know, we double our chances from 40% to 80% chance to get procs, but those procs are no longer based on dots being on the target. From the way I understand this, and this could be wrong, I do not know this for sure yet, but the way I understand this is, while we're in the song, we have an 80% chance per server tick to proc, you know, to gain a repertoire proc. I do not know 100% if that is actually based on server tick. That's, you know, that's just what I'm guessing. It could be, you know, every time we deal damage, maybe there's an 80% chance. I don't know. But that's just kind of my headcanon right now, that it, you know, it makes sense to me to be on server tick. We'll see how that plays out once we actually get our hands on it and dive into it and people figure it out. So that's the first big change. It's no longer based on dots, meaning you can get procs and you do not need dots on the target. And that is true for all the songs now. So that is That's huge. You know, doing like, you know, rating, savage rating, whatever, you're always going to have your dots on the target because you want that damage. But for doing like dungeon runs now, there's not that increased, you know, your Mage's Ballad procs when you got a huge AoE pool isn't based on you making sure you dot multiple enemies anymore. So maybe while you're running, while the, you know, the tank's pulling something, you know, you'll throw your dots on, you know, as many targets as you can until the tank stops. And then once he stops, you know, everything groups up. You don't care about dotting anything else at this point. You know, you just pop Mage's Ballad and you go to town. Or if in another situation, let's just say, you know, you just don't have time to dot, but you know, you need to do damage, you just pop Mage's Ballad, go to town. I mean, yeah, you're losing that little bit of extra damage from the dots, but those dots being on the target are no longer, you know, interacting with, you know, they're no longer restricting you during your Mage's Ballad, you know, for your procs to you know, for your Rain of Deaths and stuff like that. So that's a pretty legitimate change, taking that Repertoire proc chance off the dots. Didn't see that coming, honestly. But being at 80%, I mean, I feel like we're going to get a lot more procs. I feel like Bard's going to be a lot busier going forward. And that's something I'm really looking forward to because I like its APM requirement. And, you know, I personally would like it to be a little bit faster. So that's something I really enjoy. I know some people probably might not, and that's totally understandable. But for me, that's a cool change. So the other change to this is the Repertoire effect changed from resets recast timer of Bloodletter and Rain of Death. Remember, it would just like completely reset the cooldown and just give you the use instantly. Now it says shortens the recast timer of Bloodletter and Rain of Death by 7.5 seconds. So there's no longer an instant reset when you're proccing during mages to Bloodletter and Rain of Death. Instead, you're just killing the duration by half. Now, if you're constantly, you know, getting lucky with procs, I mean, yeah, you're just going to end up like proccing, cutting it by half, proccing again, cutting it by half, and then it's usable. Because Bloodletter only has a 15-second duration here. And let me find Rain of Death. Rain of Death is the same, 15 seconds. So it takes 2 procs to completely kill it down, you know, if the duration is at like 15 seconds, you know. It's effectively going to function, you know, pretty similar to how it currently feels. It's just, you know, that small change to shorten by 7.5 seconds instead of just completely resetting it. So which would, you know, it takes 2 procs to completely reset it from its total duration. So we'll proc a little bit less often, but because now we have, you know, those 3 charges of Bloodletter and Rain of Death, you know, it's not like we're going to be getting a ton of less usage out of, you know, Rain of Death per like AoE pool or stuff. We may be proccing a little bit less overall, but having those 3 charges there is, you know, it's going to feel very similar to how it currently plays. That's my belief anyway. So going down to Barrage, small changes on this is, you know, increased potency of Shadow Bite to 270. So of course that gives that interaction with Shadow Bite. And straight shot ready duration change from 10 to 30 seconds, you know, just giving us that extra duration to, you know, use Refulgent during our rotation, you know, not just limiting us to that 10-second window. And of course they put Barrage on the 2-minute cycle at 120 seconds. Pretty simple. Again here to Armies Payon, we have that change from 40% chance to grant Repertoire, you know, when damage over time is dealt by dots, to 80% chance to grant Repertoire, just baseline. Again, thinking that's going to be based on server tick. Duration change from 30-45 seconds, of course, you know, extending the song times. They've all been changed to 45 seconds. And that's pretty much it. And something I didn't mention on Mage's Ballad, but, you know, all the songs grant these codas now, these CODAs. And also, the direct hit effect for armies here, direct hit effect now applies to the bard who casted it. So we get the passive buff of armies pay on us now. And that's true for Mage's Ballad as well. Damage increase effect now applies to the bard who casted it. So yeah, we get our song buffs. So that's pretty nice. That's a nice little change. But those aren't the big ones yet that I really want to talk about. We'll get to those. But yeah, I forgot to mention that with mages. So yeah, we get, you know, for wanderers, armies, and mages, we get that passive buff that we give to everyone else in the party. We now get it as well. So that's a nice little change. Rain of Death, of course, you know, 3 charges, decrease the potency from 130 to 100. You know, the same otherwise. And then finally we get to the big change that just made me throw my hands up. I can't believe they did it. We've been waiting and bitching about this for so long. You know, not in like a super negative way, but you know, just kind of holding on to that hope that, you know, one day we'll get battle voice and it will be applied to us and it will be glorious. I'm so happy about this. You know, and it's stupid. You know, it's not like it's absolutely game changing, you know, because they'll still balance it, and, you know, effectively we'll still do less than machinists, more than dancers, sure, but I've always wanted it, and we got it. We get it. So duration changed from 20 to 15 seconds, so a little bit shorter duration now. Recast timer's been put on the 2-minute cycle. Effect now also applies to the bard who casted it. So we get our direct hit rate to self and nearby party members 20% increase. We get battle voice. Hurrah. Like, it's just nice, man. It's just nice. Yeah, I'm super. I love that it actually happened. Anyway, I could fanboy about battle voice all day, but like I said, it's stupid and it doesn't really matter, you know, because you know, they're gonna balance it, of course. But I think it's cool to finally see that they did it. So moving on to Wanderer's Minuet here, we can see that you know, the 40% to the 80%, you know, not utilizing it based on dot damage, of course, is the same. We get the critical hit effect applies to us. Yeah, same as the other songs. You know, Wanderer's Minuet will effectively function exactly the same, with, you know, giving us the stacks for Pitch Perfect. Pitch Perfect here had some changes to the potency, dealing less damage. The big thing here is that recast time changed from 3 seconds to 1 second, which to me says, yeah, just indicates to me that, you know, we're going to be proccing more often, potentially, and so hopefully, you know, maybe that change was done to accommodate for, you know, that higher proc chance and more usage. I'm not sure if that's how it'll play out. That's why I'm hoping it plays out. But yeah. So not really huge though. Effectively, you know, it's just Pitch Perfect. Imperial Arrow, just, you know, potency decreased by 30, so from 230 to 200. Otherwise, it's the same. Iron Jaws, yeah, didn't change at all. Just a straight shot ready duration, because, you know, it can proc straight shot ready. That's pretty much it. Delivers attack 100, target suffering and cost of this effect time set. Yeah, it's the same. So Sidewinder here has changed pretty significantly. It just straight delivers an attack with a potency of 300, and that's it. So before Sidewinder was based on, you know, you wanted to have both dots on a target and then you use Sidewinder so you can get the max damage out of it. because it was, you know, damage based on what procs were on the mob, you know, none versus having one or both. So that's been removed. It's just straight 300 potency attack, which, you know, I'm fine with. It's on a 60-second cooldown, so we get 2 uses per the 120 cycle. So essentially, you'll use it in your opener, you'll use it once again in the middle of your rotation when it comes off cooldown, and then you'll use it again when you're going back into your burst, and you'll just keep doing that. Troubadour didn't really change, just the recast timer changed from the 2 minute to 90 seconds. Otherwise, it's the same. Caustic Bite, again, same as all the other dots, just potency halved, duration increased. Storm Bite, exactly the same. Let's see, Reforge Arrow. Oh, excuse me. So Reforge Arrow here, potency changed from 340 to 280. Otherwise, same exact thing, no change. Shadow Bite, of course, I talked about, you know, we had to be Shadow Bite ready in order to use it, and we also have the Barrage, the Barrage interaction now. So pretty cool. Oh, and the recast time has been changed from 60 seconds to 2.5. So as long as you're hitting those Shadow Bite ready procs, you can just spam this essentially. So it's going to be some nice AoE. And of course, Burst Shot, range changed from... I feel like that's a typo. Range change. So yeah, the potency has been changed from 250 to 220, and of course they increased the straight shot ready duration. Pretty pretty normal. Yeah, I think that's a typo, unless they actually mean like range, and yeah, no, that doesn't make any sense. That's a typo. All right, so Apex Arrow. Potency changed from 120 to 600 to 100 to 500, so, you know, just lowering that a little bit more. And of course added the additional effect, grants Blast Arrow ready when you use Apex Arrow while you're having 80 gauge or higher. So, and Blast Arrow ready is our new combo action at level 86 here. So Blast Arrow is essentially, I believe, yeah. Is it off GCD? Am I crazy? Is this on GCD? Weapon skills are on GCD if I'm correct. Yeah, it's on GCD. That makes me kind of sad. I didn't look at that earlier. I was hoping it wasn't, but that's fine. Anyway, so this will be on our GCD. So we'll Apex Arrow into a Blast Arrow. Delivers an attack to all enemies straight line, pretty much how Apex Arrow works. 600 for the first enemy, 60% less for the remaining. Can only be activated under, you know, the effect of Blast Arrow ready. So yeah, it's just, you know, it's an extra button to hit. You know, the Bard Soul Gauge isn't the most interesting out of all the job gauges, but you know, and we could, you know, people can argue for days about that being a bad thing, or, you know, people not, you know, they don't really care. I'm in the camp that, yeah, it could be better, but I'm not mad about it. You know, it is what it is. And I'm okay with it, because we're already managing a lot of other stuff, giving us a super complicated, you know, job gauge. It could be pros or cons to that. So regardless, just another button to hit. Actually combos off of Apex, so, you know, there's the consideration to make sure you're above 80. And of course, you know, Apex we've always used just at max anyway, so not really a big deal there. And then finally, the last thing as far as our abilities go here is Radiant Finale. So this uses those codas I was talking about. So every time you pop into a song, Wanderer's Minuet, Mage Ballad, Armies Paeon, you get a coda for that song. Basically like a song token is the way to think about it. And then based on the number of those codas you have, when you use this ability, you get a baseline 2, 4, or 6% DPS increase to yourself and all nearby party members for 15 seconds. So that's essentially how that works out. I imagine, based on how I understand, is So like for our opening burst on pool, we'll use Radiant Finale with just one coda, because we'll go into Wanderer's Minuet with our Raging Strikes, Battle Voice. We'll have this one coda. We'll just pop it, and then when we get back around to Wanderer's Minuet, we will have generated all 3 again, and then from then on we'll always use it at 3. But for the opening burst, it seems like we'll just end up using it at 1 only. So that's really the only consideration with that. So we have 2 group-wide party buffs on off GCDs, and of course all our songs also give those passive buffs. So yeah, I love this. I'm super happy we got more things that buff ourselves, but also buff everyone else. It gives more viability to the position the bard takes up in the group. I believe bards are always been viable, but this definitely helps them kind of change that image that a lot of people have of bards of being pointless. Yeah, so I think this will help their image, essentially, of all these changes to their party buffs. And then going into these traits here, there's a few changes, not really anything significant from what I saw. They changed the quick knock from 74 to 72. Of course, they made the changes with it to Shadowbite Ready. That's just dot duration stuff. Let's see what else. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, there's some small changes with like this enhanced Armies payon right here. Effectively, I mean, I could be wrong about this, but it's really just going to function exactly the same as it currently does. There's just going to be a little bit more of a window to make sure we don't waste the effect we get from it when we leave the song. That's my understanding. But honestly, Armies Payon is not a very consequential song. It's not something you really have to think about. You just use it, you get its buff, you go back into Wanderers. If they fixed anything about Bard at this point, I would like them to make Armies Payon actually something that was more, interactable, like, Wanderer's Minuet or Mage's Ballad, something that was interesting instead of just, complete, burst shot spam Refulgent and managing our off GCDs. If I could ask for one more change, it would be, add something that makes armies a little bit more interesting. But, with all these other changes, I'm super happy. This isn't a big deal to me. I feel like the class is gonna be busier. I'm not sure to what degree. I don't think it's gonna be like ninja busy. Like from an APM requirement, because Mudras are very different. But yeah, I think it will end up being one of the more, one of the highest in the top for APM requirements because of all these constant proccing, dealing with these off GCDs and stuff like that. Yeah, I think it's going to be a blast to play, and I cannot wait. Servers go live for me at 3 a.m. in the morning tomorrow. Yeah, and I'll be there from the moment those servers go live, and gonna get to enjoy the story experience, and just get to see how this concludes and have fun with it. And then once I'm done with the story, I'm gonna be hitting the anime extreme and the other extreme trial. I'm just gonna be get my weapon from it, get my high quality crafted set, get all my materia melds and all that, and just going to be parsing those extremes nonstop until the raids come out. And that'll be kind of my testing ground for learning to make sure I know how to play Bard correctly, and just kind of having some fun little competition with the FF Logs community on seeing how high I can get on the rankings. I'm going for top 10 in the world. We'll see if we hit it. They're just extremes. It's not like a huge thing. It's not like a bragging rights thing. It's just something I'm doing for fun. So anyway, I think that covers it. That's pretty much all the bar changes. A few significant changes. The biggest one, of course, being the fact that Battle Voice applies to us. As far as I'm concerned, that's the most important one. But yeah, some interesting changes. Besides the fact that our buffs affect us now, I would say the biggest one is that 40% chance with the dots for procs now changing to just an 80% chance. And again, I don't know if that's based on when we deal damage, or if that's based on server tick. No idea at this moment. But I think effectively that's just going to mean we're going to be proccing a lot more than normal, than we're used to. So I can't wait. EndWalker is literally hours away. So I'll see you all then, and I'll catch you later.